Hello there guys, how are we? Welcome back to my channel. Happy Monday. Hope you're all well, hope you're all keeping safe. No start of another week. Let's see what this week's got in store for us. Um, it was a return of the Bundesliga this weekend, as you know, all played behind closed doors. So thought I'd do a little review of what's happened, what the main talking points were, how it was behind closed doors and on the telly. Because as you know, all of the games were hosted on BT Sport. I think you can watch every single game. Obviously, if you wanted to, I think some were on at the same time. Well, I know some were on at the same time because there was about five simultaneous kickoffs on Saturday afternoon, with the main one being Dortmund against Schalke. And I think all the BT channels had all the games on. So yeah, it was a really, really good thing. Obviously, James Horncastle, not James Horncastle, James Richardson, who is there. He's kind of the legendary Italian TV pundit host who used to do the Italian football on Channel 4 on a Sunday, and he's done the European football show on BT Sport a couple of times for a couple of years as well. He's absolutely brilliant as a host. And he had Raphael Honigstein with him as well, who's one of the I think he writes for The Athletic. He's a German football correspondent. He's basically the go-to for German kind of sport journalism, football journalism. I think he's Bayern Munich fan. So, yeah, really, really good lineup there. Owen Hargreaves dialing in from home, which was cool to see as well. Owen used to play for Bayern Munich, so they had him there. It was a really good setup, to be honest. I think even they were really pleased for football to be back in, for it to be back up and running. It was a very, very weird setup. At the beginning of the at the beginning of the Borussia Dortmund game, if you saw all the players kind of, warming up to an empty stadium. It's being held in Dortmund's ground, which is the Westfalenstadion, or the Signal Iduna Park, which is the sponsorship name for it. It was really, really cool to see. Obviously the players were a bit rusty for the first 10, 15 minutes, something like that, which is to be, is to be expected, really. This is almost a brand new season when you consider how long they've been out for. I know they've been back to training for a couple of weeks and stuff like that, but, they've had actual no match minutes in their legs for 8 or 9 weeks, I think it is, something like that. So it's always going to be a little bit rusty at the beginning. But yeah, that Dortmund v Schalke game was a really interesting game. Obviously, Dortmund run out 4-0 winners. It was really weird to see Dortmund Stadium, completely empty, bar the, what was it? I think it was 300 match day officials that were there, including, there was a stadium announcer there, which was really random because obviously there's no one to announce to. And you obviously had like the medical teams and stuff like that. And, I know after Dortmund won the game, they went over to the yellow wall and they were clapping a completely empty yellow wall, which is their south stand. It's the big single tier terrace, which is where all the all of their ultra groups stand and sing and stuff like that. Obviously, they've got one of the best reputations in Europe for being, kind of like the loudest, most boisterous group of fans that you can find anywhere, really. So, yeah, it was quite funny that they did that. I know that there was an interview with Haaland after the game, who scored their first goal, great goal. I don't know if you've seen this, it was going around Twitter, but basically he did an interview with one of the Dutch sport TV channels, not Dutch, German TV channels, and they basically said to him, was you making a point when you went over to celebrate with the fans at the end of the game? And he was like, yep. And that was it. He didn't say anything. He's a very, very strange guy in interviews. Don't know if, I would recommend going to see, some of his interviews on YouTube or whatever. He's very, I know this word gets used a lot for him, but he's very robotic in the way he talks. It's very to the point, very blunt, 1-2 word answers, and then he's away. His interviews only last a couple of seconds, which is really weird. And I saw a couple of people say, he's literally just programmed to score goals. He's almost like, go out on the pitch, score a goal, go home, chill out, go back to training, score goals, rinse and repeat each week. So, yeah, he's a very, very, I would say, interesting character. I think he's quite an odd character. I was talking last week about how fiercely competitive he is. Apparently if he goes to, like if he misses a penalty in training or anything like that, or he loses a five-a-side game in training, he's absolutely fuming. And that kind of attitude will see him right throughout his career. But yeah, he's very, very tricky to try and work out. He's obviously just got, a mentality which is going to see him right to the top because he took his goal really well on Saturday. But so Dortmund run out 4-0 winners against Schalke. I mean, Schalke are shocking. I know that David Wagner is he's the Schalke manager. He was at Huddersfield, which obviously went terribly wrong for them in their second year in the Premier League. And Schalke were playing like that Huddersfield side at times on Saturday. Dortmund absolutely destroyed him, and that was even without Sancho as well. Sancho apparently pulled up a bit of he pulled a muscle in training throughout the week, and he wasn't deemed fit enough to play, so he was on the bench. But yeah, Guerrero, Brandt, obviously Haaland, they were brilliant going forward. I mean, some of their one-touch football that they were playing, they had overlapping wing-backs, they had runners from midfield, they had Dahoud running in from midfield. It was amazing, really, how well they played. And, if they keep that up, they'll probably finish, at least second, given Bayern their result on Sunday, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, there's a few things which I weren't too sure about during the behind closed doors things. Obviously, all of these safety regulations need to be adhered to for the future. For the foreseeable future, should I say? One of the weirdest things I thought was the substitutes. Now, despite training together and playing together and stuff like that for the last couple of weeks, and all being in quarantine and stuff like that, as per the health advice, they all sat it was weird how the stadium was set out. So instead of there being a substitutes bench, they were allowed to sit kind of in the stands, but a few seats apart from each other, which is fine, obviously with the social distancing. But then they had face masks on, and I didn't really understand why they had to wear face masks if they've all been together. Maybe it was just one of them stipulations, which was set by the Dutch, which was set by the German FA or the German government or something, which said, this has to be done in order for games to come back. And they were like, yeah, whatever, we'll do whatever it takes. But it was a bit of a strange one, that one. And then, obviously the other thing I found really weird was, when them goals were going in, there was absolutely no response apart from the substitutes and a couple of match officials and, a couple of people inside the stadium that were cheering and stuff, which was really odd when you consider, for a derby that size, because obviously Schalke and Dortmund are such big rivals, the place would have gone absolutely mental had there been fans in the ground. And for there to be, you could literally hear the ball ripple in the back of the net when the goal went in. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird situation, but I think that by the end of the Bayern game on Sunday, it was kind of I don't think people have got used to it already, but it's definitely going to become almost semi-normal. Give it a couple more weeks. I don't think it will be as strange as what people make out. There were loads and loads of goals all throughout the Bundesliga this weekend, which I think massively helped because, if there'd have been like 7-0 or whatever and both teams were really cagey and knackered and weren't really going for it or whatever, then I think, the old moaning brigade would have been out in full force. There was already people on Twitter and stuff like that who were saying, oh, I've turned off after 10 minutes. I knew this was going to be crap and stuff like that. And my reaction to that was very much like, well, why are you even bothering watching it? Because you knew what it was going to be like, if you were moaning about the game before it even kicked off, then why did you bother watching it if you knew that it was going to be, different to what you used to? And let's be honest, it is going to be like this for, what is it now? Mid-May. I reckon until at least the new year, there's not going to be fans inside the stadium. So what are you going to do? Just not watch football? Until fans are back? I don't really know what people are expecting. This is going to have to do for now, and to be honest, I thought the Bundesliga and I thought all the teams this weekend were a credit to the sport, really, because there was one picture I saw of when Haaland scored. He went over to the corner flag and all the players were kind of like dotted, like 2 meters around him celebrating. They weren't really touching, they weren't really hugging each other or anything like that. And they were doing the thing with the elbow instead of shaking hands, where they kind of like bumped elbows with each other to say well done. That kind of thing is strange, but that's what we're going to have to get used to. And yeah, like I say, these guys who are moaning non-stop about how old, this isn't football and stuff like this. Well, there's a simple solution to that. Just don't watch it. The way I see it, it's better than nothing. It's going to be a massive boost for everybody who loves football and loves sport. If you have a look at some of the tweets that were going in, I think Bundesliga was worldwide trending during the Dortmund game on Saturday, because people love this sport. It isn't just like a hobby to watch on a Saturday for most people. There are millions, if not billions, of people who love football, and to see a big time league, I would say the Bundesliga is easily in the top 4 leagues in the world to watch, for in terms of entertainment, players, stadiums, excitement, stuff like that. So it's great to have it back. I thought they did a good job given the circumstances. It's the first week back and they're only going to improve. So yeah, I think fair play to them. And I can't wait to see, like the next round of games, because there were a lot of goals that were going in all over the place. So yeah, I just thought I'd go through the scores quickly, just to update you on them. So yeah, the Saturday games, it was Dortmund 4, Schalke 0. Like I say, it was Haaland scored. Of course, he scored. Guerrero got 2 actually. I think it was his second goal, Guerrero. It was a great goal. It was kind of like flashed it across the face of the goal after a great move. I think Schalke's keeper probably isn't going to see the light of day on a match day for quite a while now. I know that their other keeper, which is Alexander Nubel, he's agreed a deal to go to Bayern Munich this summer. So yeah, my God, they need another keeper quickly, because he was not very good, their backup keeper, on Saturday. He looked all over the place. He couldn't play up from the back, couldn't clear his lines. He was a bit of a disaster, and that really didn't help. So yeah, Dortmund won 4-0. They moved to within 1 point of Bayern Munich, who played on Sunday against Union Berlin. I'll go through their score in a minute. Just reading out some scores. You'll have to excuse me looking down. Augsburg lost 2-1 at home to Wolfsburg. Dusseldorf and Paderborn, who were 2 relegation-threatened teams, played out a 0-0. I think Dusseldorf hit the post, but that was about it in that game. Hertha Berlin, great result for them, won 3-0 away at Hoffenheim. Now, Hertha Berlin are a really strange club at the moment. They've just gone through this takeover bid. Well, I say just gone through. I think it was just before Christmas it went through, and they signed Piontek, didn't they? They're about to sign Toussaint from Lyon and stuff like that. So yeah, it's an exciting time for those guys. And obviously that they hired Klinsmann as a manager. That all went wrong for a couple of reasons. I don't think he got on with a hierarchy there and stuff like that, and he left after, I think it was like 75 days, something like that. But yeah, regardless, they've got a very promising future, and if they can get through the end of this season without anything, drastically bad happening, then next season, if I was a Hertha Berlin fan, I'd be very excited about what's to come. So yeah, they won 3-0 away at Hoffenheim, which is a great result. RB Leipzig, obviously managed by Julian Nagelsmann, who's one of the hottest coaches in Europe. They drew 1-0 at home to Freiburg, which is a surprising result. Freiburg, managed by Christian Streich, who's been there for a very long time. Obviously Leipzig, one of the most exciting attacking teams in Europe at the moment, but could only, labour to a 1-1 draw, really. They were very, very lucky to even get a draw. I don't know if anyone watched it, but basically Freiburg had a 94th minute winner disallowed because it was offside, and it was very, very close as well. I think that they were left waiting a couple of minutes to try and decide, whether VAR would rule it onside or offside, but they ruled it offside agonisingly for Freiburg in the end. But yeah, they definitely deserve something out of that game. And they'll still be happy with a 1-1 draw, but they'll be very, very frustrated that they couldn't get the 3 points, away to Leipzig, because that would have been a brilliant result. But still a good result. Frankfurt 1, Gladbach 3. Now, if any of you watched that game, you'd have probably missed the first goal if you tuned in late, because Alassane Player, who's their French centre forward, he scored after 45 seconds, which is one of the quickest Bundesliga goals of all time. They also had Marcus Thuram, which is Lilian Thuram's son. He's a brilliant player, signed from Genk last summer. Very, very good player, very exciting, can play off both wings, can play up front and can finish. He's got a handful of goals this season, so he scored as well. And Frankfurt, with Adi Hütter, who's their manager, he did a great job last season getting them to the Europa League semi-final. they seem to have really dropped off this season. You know, they're kind of like struggling to even make the European contention places. So, yeah, they went down 3-1 at home, which is a very surprising result. Cologne 2, Mainz 2. This is the Sunday games. Cologne were 2-0 up in this game, and they threw away a 2-goal lead. You know, both of these guys are going to be relegation strugglers. So, you know, for Cologne to throw away a 2-goal lead is a massive disappointment. You know, they're going to be gutted about that. And then the final game of the weekend, well, of this weekend, obviously there's a game tonight, which is Werder Bremen against Bayern Leverkusen, which will be a great game. You know, obviously you've got Peter Bosz, who's in charge of Leverkusen, and they are attack at all costs. They've got some brilliant players, you know, Kai Havertz, Leon Bailey and stuff like that. So definitely watch that game if you can, because that'll be a good one tonight on Monday Night Football. Yeah, the last game of this weekend was Union Berlin 0, Bayern Munich 2. You know, obviously Bayern Munich, they went, I think it was 5 points clear or 4 points clear at the top. I think it was definitely 4 actually. They had a Lewandowski penalty, and then Benjamin Pavard in the second half finished the game off. It was really cool actually, you know, to see Union Berlin's ground, because I've not watched too much of them this season. I know that they're very much a fan-orientated club, and their stadium is fantastic. It's a real throwback to kind of like the 1980s English stadiums with the, you know, the three sides of terracing, and then the nice home, you know, the nice home terrace, which has got all the seats in it and stuff like that. But yeah, they were saying that when they were financially hard up, all their fans chipped in and helped rebuild the stadium and stuff like that. It's a really cool story there. And the ex-Dortmund man, Nathan Subotic, who's a centre-half who obviously won a double under Klopp's winning Dortmund, and under Klopp's double winning side that he's playing centre-half for him now. I think he's about 32, 33 years old. You know, he took a swing at Kimmich, I think it was, for the penalty, blatant penalty, and Lewandowski put it away. One of those run-ups I absolutely hate watching football. It was one of them where he runs up to the ball, hops, skips, and then jumps with the instep and shoots with his instep. Sent the keeper the wrong way. You know, the keeper did well to stand up for so long, but he sent him the wrong way in the end. And yeah, you know, like I say, Pavard wrapped the game up. But yeah, I thought Union Berlin played really well. You know, I don't know whether their players were kind of like showing Bayern a bit too much respect in the first half, and I know that the manager dropped their top goal scorer, which was a little bit frustrating for him. But yeah, I thought they did really well. You know, they certainly caused Bayern some problems, but you know, Bayern just too strong for him. You know, when you consider the squad that they've got, they had Serge Gnabry, and also shout out to Alphonso Davies. He is ridiculously quick. I would say he's probably the fastest player I would say maybe even Europe. There was a chance for Union Berlin in the second half where the ball was played over Bayern Munich's two centre-halves, and the striker looked as if he was going to be one-on-one with Neuer, but out of nowhere, even from out the shot of the camera, Alphonso Davies he's like an Olympic sprinter. Sprinted back, managed to get goal side of the defender, and you know, he ushered it out for a goal kick. So yeah, he was an incredible talent. He is an incredible talent. You know, he was a left winger, kind of left-sided forward, and Hansi Flick, who's the new permanent coach of Bayern Munich, he's kind of been playing him in this left wing back position. He's absolutely excelled at it. So yeah, fair play to Hansi Flick for that. And I mean, he's turned himself into the best left back in Europe, which is amazing, really. So Bayern very impressive. You know, they had. You always felt they had a couple of gears to go up if they needed it, but wasn't needed in the end, and they secured a 2-0 win. So, yeah, that was a roundup for the first, the first game week of the Bundesliga returning of this project restart across Europe because of the L virus. So, yeah, obviously, if you guys just let me know kind of like what you think about the Bundesliga returning. Did you enjoy it behind closed doors? Is there anything you'd improve? Anything you'd change? You know, then please let me know, because I'm very, very curious to know what my kind of, my viewers think of it, because Twitter was crazy. You know, if you have a look at the hashtags that were trending over the weekend, during the games, a lot of people were for it, but there were a lot of people against it as well, calling it boring, calling it rubbish and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'd be interested to know what you think. I'm going to do a couple of reviews about, when the Premier League and when Serie A and stuff like that are returning, because the Premier League are due to be having a meeting today regarding confirming a date for training and, for matches resuming. So, yeah, you can expect to see a couple more videos from me later on in the week regarding that. But until then, Thanks a lot for watching. Keep up the great support, 'cause it's very much appreciated. And enjoy your week and keep safe. All right, guys. Thanks very much. See you later. Bye then.